everybody, this is Felicia from Felicia's World. I am going to be appliquing down this bunny, and this is Rayon machine applique. It's part of a block. The block is really long. It's kind of a banner for a block of the month that I'm going to be releasing probably at the end of the summer. And I just love this bunny, and I really just wanted to kind of show you how easy it is to put down. And it's, again, part of a much larger block. You can kind of see the roll up here. It's a banner. It's 60 inches long, and I wanted to show you that you can indeed make these giant oversized blocks with applique. Sometimes people are leery about fitting that stuff on their sewing machine, but it's fully possible to do. All I've done here is I've rolled it up and pinned it, and rolled it up and pinned it. And so that way it's a little bit easier. And if I needed to, I could actually fold this down and pin it as well. But I'm going to try not to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. And first thing we're going to do is put the right thread in. So I don't know if you can see this, but this bunny has 3 different colors. There is the tail is purple, and so it's the inside of the ear, and then we have this solid, semi-solid overshot pink that's used for the sort of the legs and ears that are behind. And then we have the polka dot. That's the main bunny. Polka dotted bunny. Who would have known that would be a good idea? Okay, so we're going to start with the tail and the ear lining, the little purple piece. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here for you guys. Okay, and I have my machine set to my normal blanket stitch that I like. And as usual, I'm going to roll this up a little bit more to be able to maneuver. You can see how I'm stopping every time. This is a pretty sharp curve here. And so I stop and adjust. And that is so that the innie part of the stitch, the one that goes in and grabs the applique shape, is as perpendicular as I can make it to the edge. If not, it's going to start to look like sort of a wind-blown fence. Your stitches just won't look that nice. So I'm turning it, stopping, so in applique, machine applique like this, generally when you have small shapes with a lot of curves and so forth, you're going to have to slow down. And then when you have big open stretches of almost, gentle curves or straight lines, like the bunny's body has a lot of that, then we can sew substantially faster. So overall, this is a pretty quick process here. Then we can tie off. I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit here so we can get you a little bit closer, a little bit better view of the, there we go. Okay. There we go. And then I'm going to do the ear. I'm going to roll this up a little bit more. You see here we have a gentle, almost linear shape, so I'm sewing a lot faster than I did on that little tail. I'm getting down to the end here. One more stitch, stop and turn. 1 stitch, turn, and turn again. And take 1 stitch here. Come on. There you go. Okay. And then we're going to race back up to the side here. Oops. So when you do applique, you'll get to this point where you learn sort of how gentle or how sharp of a curve you can get to look nice while actually sewing continuously, and when you need to stop and adjust. It will probably vary a little bit from sewing machine to sewing machine, but you will kind of get a sense for it when you know your machine well and have done this a few times, what exactly you can get away with and what you can't get away with. there's my ear. I'm gonna switch thread. I'm gonna start the bunny back legs, and I want a pink for that, not purple. I'm gonna put my, and as usual, I am doing this with my Auriful thread. Okay, so we can do the back part of the ear. And notice here that and the idea here with applique, I think, is to have fun and enjoy it. And like with everything else, if you're new to applique and you're watching this thinking, oh, I wish I could do that, you can. You just have to actually try. I'm going through this with art journaling right now. That's like sort of my side hobby. And I've had so many false starts on that project, or that sort of form of making art for the last 5 years, and felt so intimidated by it. And all of a sudden now I'm like, you know what? I am totally okay sucking at this. Like, I can just be really bad at it. And what has happened is that in the process of being allowed to be really bad, I've actually gotten a lot better. So if you're new to applique, it's kind of the same thing. You just have to be really willing to be a beginner and to just dive in and realize that you're going to get out exactly what you put into it. And if you're afraid of failing, then you will never succeed. You can see how easy this is. So because I have this giant block here, I have to kind of make sure that it's not hampering the turning. So it's really important to keep that. But, you know, most people maybe are not going to start a giant banner for their first appliquing shape. Although you could. This is not hard. You just have to stop and turn it. Here, I'm going to snip off these loose threads, and I'm going to switch pink. I actually want to use a slightly lighter pink, I think, for the bunny body. Just because I can, because after having been sewing and quilting for a gazillion years, I have a ton of thread. If you're just starting out and you're wondering if you can use the thread you have, the chances are you can. So for a machine applique like this, I prefer Auriful Cotton Mako, and I usually get the small spools, like this is the pink we were just using, because I'd rather have a lot of different colors than, you know, miles of one color for this type of quilting. If you're wondering if you can use what you have, if you have been the person who's been collecting polyester Gutermann thread, that kind of thing, it's too thick to make applique look good. So I would suggest you don't do it. I would suggest you invest in a few good spools of a thinner thread. But you can also use, and I used to do this, like machine embroidery thread. So if you have Isacord, or I can't remember what all they're called, Iris, or any of those machine embroidery threads laying around, they work fine for this on the top. I'm not so sure about the bobbin. And the bobbin I'm using Superior Threads bottom line. So you can try, different sewing machines have sort of different tolerances for different thicknesses of thread in the bobbin. So, you know, try it, but Yeah, plow through what you have and test different threads and see what works. It's totally allowed to experiment here. I just, in general, don't want the sheen of machine embroidery thread anymore. It's just not my thing. But that doesn't mean it can't look lovely. And I certainly made my first, actually I made several quilts with that kind of thread, because that's what I had. And I hadn't dialed in my favorite supplies yet. So that took a few years. And there's no right and wrong answer here. You should do what makes you happy. It's just having sort of taught this technique for many years in different countries and so forth. I was teaching in Norway a few years ago, and man, everybody was on this super thick, I think it was Gutermann, but it was not good for applique. And they were so frustrated because they didn't get really neat stitches the way these are. And like, well, do you want to try some Auriful? Like, I had brought some, and it was night and day. I mean, it made a huge difference. So, you know, it's worth experimenting with. And there we go, we made it all the way around. So that didn't take that long. And we have a bunny in one piece, all appliqued. So come and join us at feliciasworld.com, and I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel. Have a great one.